the bar, yeah, we raising the bar.
Let me ask you something. What do you do after you've already been the greatest? Not good, not great, but one of the greatest. Whether you're Michael Jordan, whether you're LeBron James, whether you're Tom Brady, whether you're Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, or if you're Ken Griffey Jr., because Ken Griffey Jr. answered that question. His answer was not a front office job in baseball. He doesn't work in the Major League Baseball offices. He didn't take a broadcasting deal. He's not your typical celebrity who makes celebrity appearances. But instead, he picked up a camera and he finds himself in Augusta last year at the Masters with the credential around his neck, not as a lanyard. He's not there as a legend. He's not there as a patron. He's legit working as a photographer. And on that Sunday, April 13th of 2025, he is standing in the pit when Rory McIlroy made history. Now, this isn't a story about a hobby. It's not even a feel-good sidebar. This is an entire second life that Ken Griffey Jr. is living. And now we're going to break it down and up to par. In the game of golf, we have the hole that's called, in the game of golf, we have eagles. But you know what's interesting about real eagles? An eagle doesn't stop flying because it already paid. An eagle doesn't stop flying because it already proved it could. With 630 home runs, Hall of Fame jacket, first ballot, unanimous, well, nearly unanimous, 630 home runs, Hall of Famer. Our first ballot unanimous, well, nearly unanimous. Induction of 99.3% of the vote in 2016. 10 gold gloves, 13 all-star selections, 1 MVP, the most beautiful swing that the game of baseball has ever seen. A generational talent, a cultural phenomenon. I don't know about you, but I had the Ken Griffey video game on Super Nintendo. A man who made little boys across America put their cap on backwards before they even knew why. Ken Griffey Jr. made wearing your hat backwards cool. While everybody else had a different opinion, it was cool because Ken Griffey Jr. did it. And then, 2010, career ends. Most people would close that chapter and call it a life well lived. But Ken Griffey Jr. opened up a whole new book. Today, we're going to talk about the kid and what the kid did in his next chapter. Before we get into the second act, I need you to fully understand what the first act was. Because sometimes we throw around the word legend so casually that we forget what it actually means. In 1997, Ken Griffey Jr. won the American League MVP unanimously. Every single first play, in an era where players were doing steroids, he took the clean alternative. He was a player that you could celebrate without an asterisk. He was Adidas when everybody else was Nike. He stood out by being himself, by being real, by being true to who he was. Let's tap into the swing a little bit. And I need you to understand, the Ken Griffey Jr. swing, if you weren't practicing that in your backyard, I don't know what you were doing. What made it so much cooler was that this man is left-handed. I'm right-handed. And trying to mimic the most beautiful swing. Matter of fact, they should take a picture of the swing, put it right next to the Mona Lisa. Matter of fact, put it in the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C. Please. Ken Griffey Jr. retired at the age of 40 and had the 7th most home runs in Major League Baseball history. But here's what trips me out. 630 home runs. And he missed a lot of time due to injury almost every other season. When Ken Griffey Jr. was healthy, he might be at the top of the list. If he were to stay healthy, if Ken Griffey Jr. stayed healthy throughout his career, he may have the record for the most home runs in Major League Baseball history. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people wouldn't be mad about that. But that's the thing. We will never know. And he's never complained about it. That's the kind of man we're talking about. Now, that same man picked up a camera in 2015. Here's how it started. And I want you to sit with this. Ken Griffey Jr. was at his daughter's basketball game. At the time, she's 5 years old. She stops dribbling. She looks up into the stands, and the look on her face said everything her words didn't have to. Dad, are you even here? Not physically. He was in the seat, but presence isn't proximity. Presence is attention. And when you're Ken Griffey Jr., when every person in that gym wants a piece of you, an autograph, a photo, a selfie, everybody wants their moment. Your attention can get distracted. So he made a calculation. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, if I'm behind the lens, I become invisible. Nobody bothers a photographer. And I get to actually watch my kids. Now think about the trade that he made. In a time where so many people want attention, he traded visibility for presence. He traded his celebrity for intimacy. He traded the center of the room for the corner. And he did it on purpose because being there mattered more than being seen. That's not a small decision for a man who has been seen all his entire life. He could have easily hired a photographer. He could have easily paid somebody to do a document for his kids in 4K. But instead, he picked up the camera himself, and somewhere in that process, something clicked. I guess you can say, pun intended. He didn't just fall into photography. He fell for it. And here's where I need you to stop sleeping on what he actually built. This isn't Ken Griffey Jr. showing up to events with a Canon Rebel or a Sony camera getting waved in because he's famous. No, this ain't that. He shot for the NFL. He shot for Major League Soccer. Enter Miami, Messi on the pitch. He shot the IndyCar. He shot wildlife. He got credentialed at Augusta National, one of the most exclusive and controlled media environments in all of sports, and was placed in an official photo pool. And if you don't know what that means, Augusta doesn't hand out credentials like candy. No, Sports Illustrated photographers get turned away from Augusta. The list of people in that credential pool, it's short, it's selective, but it's also serious. And Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Jr. was in it, not because of the Hall of Fame plaque, but because of his portfolio. Ken Griffey has said it himself, doors open because of who he is, but he doesn't walk through them empty-handed. He walks through with 10 years of work behind him. That's the part that gets me. Because he could have easily coasted. He could have chosen to earn it a different way. He's not acting like a celebrity. He's not giving off diva. He's not giving off celebrity. He's giving off the work of a craftsman. Fast forward to April 13th, 2025. Augusta National, Sunday. Rory McIlroy is standing over a putt that has haunted him for 15 years. The Masters. The one major he's never won. The one piece missing from a career that has everything else. The career grand slam on the line. Right now, right here, the crowd is silent in the way that the crowd is silent in the way Augusta can only get silent. When you can hear those pine needle falls. Rory drops the putt and the place goes crazy. And in that moment, and the fraction of a second where history shifts and emotion breaks open, somebody has to be in that position. Somebody had to have the right lens, the right light, the right instinct to capture what that looked like on Rory's face. Ken Griffey Jr. was that somebody. Think about the full arc of that moment. A Hall of Famer behind the camera at the most storied golf tournament in the world, capturing a player completing his own legacy-defining achievement. One legend bearing witness to another. Shouts out to LeBron. We are all witnesses, baby. That's not a concept for a documentary. This is a real life motion picture that we are seeing at that time. Here's what this story is really about, and it's the reason why it belongs on the Up to Par podcast. Golf, and I've said it before, golf has a way of meeting you in your second half. It requires patience that young people don't typically have. It rewards discipline that's been refined over decades. It humbles you in a way that nothing else will. And it gives you a community. It builds culture that has nothing to do with whatever you need it to be. Ken Griffey Jr. didn't just find photography. He found golf. And golf brought him to Augusta. And Augusta gave him the greatest this is what they talk about when they talk about alignment. And here's the thing I want to leave you with, because this is real. The most dangerous version of any person is the one who has already proven they don't need to do something and then chooses to do it anyway with full commitment, with zero shortcuts. Ken Griffey Jr. didn't need another career. He built one from scratch. And at 55 years old, he is still waking up early. He's still hauling gear. He's still studying light and composition and timing, still being a student of the game, just a different sport. This is his second act. This is his second coming. And it might be the most impressive thing that he's ever done. the Masters announced that they are releasing a documentary based on this experience. Photographer number 24. It will premiere on April 5th on NBC. Make sure you watch it. And when you do, don't just watch it as a Ken Griffey Jr. story. Watch it as a blueprint for your life. Because somebody watching right now is on the other side of their first chapter, wondering what comes next, wondering if they're too old, wondering if they're too known, wondering if they're too set in their ways to start something new. Well, look no further than Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. never stopped swinging. He just changed what he was swinging for. I am Chris Moore. This is Up to Par. There's only one life to live. And the only way to live that life is being up to. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, like the channel, hype the channel if you're able to. And let's build something great. This has been Up to Par. I'm Chris Moore. We out.
At a bar, yeah, we raising the bar.